we're not the only parish council to have that. Featherstone have one, Upton have one, lots of the parish councils around have them as well. So, but I do think the question does need to be asked about shared resource, and the questions about the lease as well should be put forward.
I'd just also like to take issue on here. You said a couple of times, Martin, about lots of stuff on Facebook, but actually my perception is it's a few people making a lot of noise, and there's, you know, we have 8,000 voters in the village, and you know, we don't take our cue from a few people making noise on Facebook, and certainly particularly since I'm blocked by many of those people who make the noise from seeing what they write, and particularly writing about me as well. I just, you know, I don't take it as a valid source of information, to be honest.
I think as a parish council we have to sort of say what resources have we got in the village, and one of the resources we've got in the village is Carbridge Playground. Now there are issues about Carbridge Playground, and sometimes some of the things are not, you know, they have to be repaired and things like that, but we accept that as a responsibility, as a positive for the village. And we do what we're supposed to do. We have them regularly inspected. We do ad hoc inspections by our caretaking staff and things like that. I think when things need repairing, in the main we do repair them. We keep on top of it. If you go down the road of, well, it don't look nice, or it's not nice, or we don't agree with it, we'll get rid of it. We'll get rid of all the playgrounds in Ackworth. What's Ackworth got? You know, and everything else. I think it is, at the moment, I would perceive that to be an asset, and I think we've got to do the right thing. So what I propose is that we send this back to Wakefield Council, we ask them for detail, we inquire about shared responsibility for paying for any repairs that need doing, and then we see where that goes, see what response we get from the Wakefield Council. Is that agreed? We do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair, before we move on, would you just be able to send me the date range of that shared part of it that you've got there? Just so I know what I'm looking for in it, to see if it is part of our...
I'll dig that out.
If that's okay. Just if I've got a date or something, I know where I'm looking then. Thank you. Sorry, Chair, thank you.
Okay. So, item 9. You want to stand up for this one? To note the request for a free frame portrait of the King of the UK. Is that from you?
Yeah. So it's just me telling you that we are entitled to a free framed portrait of our King, so I applied for it so that you know that I've done that as part of the White Rose Bulletin that went round. It's been done.
And we do have a lot of blank walls downstairs, so...
Can I just inquire, have we got a place to hang it if we get how big it is?
I'm sure we can bring that back to committee for a recommendation.
I think the entrance hall, we need to start, don't we, somewhere. Maybe this will be the beginning of decorating that.
But it's been done, not done.
We can get a great big print there, to go on that great big advertisement board. It's no longer.
So it's a request. Do we agree that we have it? Do we have to agree to accept it, or?
No, I'm noting that I haven't.
You noticed, all right.
I've done it. It was free, so.
Free.
It's really bad. We can put it up here. We'll put that downstairs.
Okay.
Are you going to sing the national anthem every morning?
I may do. Every meeting we have.
If we're going to come and visit for the unveiling, that'll be all right. Yeah.
Check out our wildflowers.
Right, item 10, to note the emergency repair to the boundary in Old Ackworth playground. Gemma.
Yeah, so this is, no, the next few are mine. This is a quick update for this committee to let you guys know that there was an emergency repair required. In Low Ackworth playground, as you'll know, there's some residential properties that back onto the playground. Some of the boundaries, some of the fencing had blown down in the winds, and the caretaking team basically propped it back up and re-secured it for the playground area. So that was to know that that was done.
Thank you to the caretaking.
Can I just quickly comment? Obviously there's a few things on here where we're just noticing things that the parish council has done. Could we get some of these things on our social media and so on, just saying that the more stuff that we've done, because sometimes I think We don't boost ourselves up enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
I can do that under the social media policy separately, so I'll take
Yeah,
that
thank you.
separate as a councillor.
And similarly, item 11, to know the emergency repair to the car park potholes. Bell Lane Community Centre car park.
Yes, so that's this car park here. As you know, there was on the health and safety report within the next 12 months, there was 3 potholes identified. We were initially going to look at resurfacing it, but they become rather dangerous with the potholes over the bad weather, especially with the snow. And we went with emergency cutting them out completely and a repair on them. Luckily, we actually got it at really low cost. So most companies have to pay by the ton for tarmac, but a local contractor who we always use had some tarmac left over from another job, so it was a grand total of £200.
Well
To
done,
repair
right?
it all,
Well done.
yeah.
What a win.
Yeah. So in comparison, the other quotes that I'd received when it wasn't an emergency to repair the potholes was nearly just short of, I think it was £800. So you can see the difference in the cost in the emergency repair that we had to do. It was a big saving.
I think in the present climate you've done a good job there, because I think it
Yeah.
works. And it's,
It may well be that we still look to resurface it in a couple of years' time, but it will give us a couple of years.
thank you for that. 12, to know the emergency removal of a dangerous tree within the boundary of Cambridge playing field.
Yeah,
Okay.
similar circumstances. We had a lot of wind over winter. One of the trees in the Carbridge area needed emergency work done to it. Did have a cost here. So we had no choice. It went through Wakefield Council because obviously the area that it's in, they were aware of it. They also deemed it as dangerous. £270 we had to pay for that on an emergency basis. That was on the full Parish Council meeting last month, and it was approved through the finance section in that meeting. It happened around that time, so this is just a note to this committee that it was completed.
Thank you for that again. Right, item 13 to complete a review of Brockenhill Centre, including the income and expenditure recommendations to full council. It's been an issue for quite a while as a little place down at Brockenhill. Originally it was, just a bit of background, originally it was something that local residents fought for and got a building on that when that playing field was probably used a little bit more than it is now, and local residents got together and raised some money and got that place there. As we've looked at it over this last few years, it really is not suitable for use. You can't have a big meeting there. It was used by the spiritualists, use it a few times a year, because it's a small room, very small room. It's got a little kitchen and a toilet and a store room, but it's not really, you couldn't really have meetings in it or anything like that, any more than about 1,000 people. So it's become a bit of a, it's
Underused.
yeah, we've just done nothing to do with it really. There's been one or two suggestions, if I may say. We had a meeting last week with Oakfield Park School, who are really wanting to take an allotment on for some of their pupils, and the person who came down to look at the allotment thought that was a great plot that we've offered them. She did mention toilet facilities. So one of the ideas was I know there's no revenue in this, but directly, if we could possibly use that building because there's a side gate on the allotments, so there's access to it. There's no real parking spaces down there, so that was one of the other issues about not using it, but there is, pedestrian access to it, so that could be a possibility because there are no other toilets on the allotments, and we may be looking to the thing about them getting a grant towards using it as a toilet, so that would be some income for us. We've just done this at the mill. We've got about 1,200 quid from the Wakefield Cycle Forum because they meet at Queen's Mill and they use our toilet. So they've got a grant for 1,200 quid to give to us to use their toilet. I don't know. It's a possibility. It's one possibility. So that will be a little bit of income if we decide we're going to keep it. If we decide we're not going to keep it, it's paying somebody a couple of £1,000 to get rid of it, because it's plumbed in, it's wired in and everything else. It seems a bit of a shame not to use it, but that's the other alternative that we do. Or we find somebody who wants to take it on.
Would it be worth asking residents in Rocking Hill, maybe putting up a thing about a meeting and seeing if they can forward those suggestions? Because I bet if somebody announced that it's going, then the community might be thinking, well, if only we'd done this, that or the other, and it'd be nice maybe if we could do the shout out to see if anybody's got any ideas.
Yeah, two things. One, talking about if it's going to be used for toilet facilities, perhaps it could be a joint venture between the allotments committee and Oakfield Park School, so that it was their toilet block, got a keypad, you know, with a code, and you know, maybe two sources of funding to get it made to a proper accessible toilet. And then the other thing in my mind is that during lockdown, or was it just at the breach and break, sometime anyway, when all the COVID business was going on, we had an approach from somebody who wanted to run a little cafe from it, and some of us went and looked. And I think if it's going to be used for any other purpose at all, really, it needs somebody spending on it before it's any good for another purpose. So I think asking for, support, what Amanda says, just seeing what's out there in terms of ideas or what use it might be put to, but definitely keep the toilet facilities on a high priority, really.
I mean, it might be worth, you want to form a proposal that we advertise the fact that it's
available.
It's available.
Yeah.
And is anybody in the local community?
Yeah.
Or generally, not just generally, yeah.
Wants a small space.
I just think as well, like we mentioned about assets and amenities and so on, and with the story about how that centre has been fought for, I think to try and get it used is based on what the parish council wants ultimately, because then it's an amenity we've got for the village. So I definitely am in support of anything that comes forward. And sorry to put you on the spot, Susie, but I think at the last allotments meeting you mentioned that there might be something coming about from Andy, was it about about the police and PAC meetings?
The PAC meeting. It was that the community police don't actually have a site that they can operate from.
The PCSOs?
Yes,
Yeah.
they travel with little buses, they don't have patrol cars. So, for them to have somewhere that they can actually meet and operate from might be very useful.
So can I suggest then, instead of taking this to full council, that we investigate possible uses for it, so we can look into see if the PCS, we're going to presumably get in touch with the police about that, and then just put a general post out saying this is available. Has anybody got any? Does anybody want?
Should we put a sign? Have we got a notice board up there? Should we
got the allotments and we could put something on the door a bit. On the door.
Because some people just won't be aware, will they? It's dwindling and available.
So can I just check that what the proposal is that we're going to further review it at this committee before it goes to full council by way of exploring options? We've not just started yet, so
Just still
So we're going to further review within this committee before it goes to full council by way of advertising, generate interest as to and we'll be closing that. For John, did you say your second one?
Are we all in favour of that?
Oh, yeah.
So, 15 to review a request to contact Northern Gas in relation to the out of use metal box on the Valpora trial to Ackworth.
So all this was is that a resident has noticed that it's looking unsightly. It's been there for years. It's a very small metal box.
Yeah.
It's got black and yellow tape wrapped around it now.
Yeah.
I contacted Whitehall Council to see if it was theirs, and they told me it was Northern Gas, so I just need a authorisation to contact Northern Gas.
Brilliant, yes please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please. I thought it was an installation.
It's not safe.
An installation.
It's lovely looking, isn't it?
Okay.
So I'll contact, obviously recommend it to full council, but once we get full council approval, I'll contact.
Thank you. So 16 is to receive correspondence from a resident regarding Cambridge playground swing and gate posts. That's here we go. And this one, in minus 16, the picture of a gate post.
Can I just jump in? That's all right. So having read the email that we've got, I suppose the first bit, like we've done with the youth shelter, ask the inspection company as well, and I bet you've already done that because I can see that I had to shoot right up. And obviously ask them their views on it, and of course give a reply to the resident about that, and whatever we can do. Obviously, I think that we want the safety of the village to be at that.
Do you want me to add the bits that I've got for it? So first of all, there was a video that accompanied this. I asked the resident whether I could forward it onto the committee, but unfortunately I didn't get a response. The video showed movement in the bottom post, so you could see it clearly jumping up and down in the ground, and it showed at the top of the swing, at the very top of the basket swing, because of the movement, it was creating almost like a popping within the bracket. So that's what the issues are. I did speak to the, sorry, I'm just getting distracted by the audience there. I did speak to the independent inspector, the same person that completed the youth shelter. It is a similar setup. So those posts, you cannot lift them out of the ground. They are anchored in despite there being movement in there. There's no corrosion to it, so it is deemed that it is in a fair condition. In terms of the actual post of the gate, yes, it is crooked and it is bent. The gate wasn't closing, but we did have a lot of rain, and then by some miracle the ground moved, and it does now self-close, and it has been self-closing for a while. So at the moment we're dealing with the bent gate post, but the gate does close onto it. So they're the bits of information that I've just got to add to that item.
Right, okay. So you've had the response, you've responded to it, had the response from the person who did, the people who did the install.
Yeah, so if they've said again that they're happy to put it in writing to say that they've completed their checks and that that's the conditions that it was checked in and it is in a fair condition.
So,
it's not unsafe.
So do people think we ought to get that in, just get writing for our file then?
Yeah, is it like an MOT where you get advisories? They didn't put an advisory on, but we could do some renovation to it if we wanted to make it better than fair.
They do put advisories on the report. I wouldn't be able to say from memory right this second now what specifically was on that. I don't think I've got it with me.
It might be safe, but if it's not in tip-top condition, we could choose, I suppose, to improve it.
If I've got it, I can answer it right now, that's all. So, the basket swing, they'd put, as the advisory MOT had said as such, the grass is worn, this may affect the impact of the area on the mats. And again, it's been a very wet winter, and that might be why there's some movement in it because of the weather. But there's no defects found. They have put potential finger trap between the plastic links on the basket, but again, things like that have already been rectified, and we've already got an authorisation wherever there was any recommendations that we would complete those.
Okay, so I would happy to communicate that with
Yeah.
Okay.
To get that in writing.
Get that in writing then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you too.
See you soon. Good to see you.